Hello, everybody out there. Thank you so much for showing up to this episode 1 of Watcher on the Web's Night Watch. I've got a guest here, and it looks like I've actually got some people in chat waiting for me. Hey there, Tash, God of Fools. Excellent place for you to be, my friend. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. We might have more than one guest coming. I don't know. We did have Sibley Roger that he might come in, but don't hate on me for delaying the sequel just yet because that's not a confirmed. Um, yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me turn it on so they can hear you. Go ahead. Say it
Yeah,
again.
alleged sequel. Got to give a shout out to my boy Spartacus Jr. Every time the sequel comes up, he says it's alleged because we haven't seen it yet.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Until we see proof of sequel, it doesn't exist, right? I mean, we have to act as though it doesn't exist. I suppose is really the thing.
It'll be a happy
Otherwise,
surprise for all of us.
well, but otherwise, certain authors might get swollen heads.
It's true. If we're not busting him down, then nobody is. So that's why he keeps us around.
His agent sure as shit isn't doing it. That's for goddamn sure. Well, how's it going out there, everybody? Thank you so much. I've been meaning to do this for quite a while. I'm not really sure where our schedule falls. Here's my issue, and this place I'm going to talk to you about it because it's always easier to talk to somebody than to just talk to yourself. You know what I mean, man? Um,
Absolutely.
I've been really meaning to do this show, but it falls into a very interesting category where I do morning shows and I do a lot of work during the day and I want to do the show in the evening. And the problem is that most of our morning show people, obviously, that doesn't the audience doesn't flow nearly as neatly. Which is fine. I mean, I don't need to take it, but the other side of it is that the audience that we do have are all fans of certain master streamers who are on every evening at roughly this same time period. You may know His Majesty the King of Grift, Nick Rekieta, and and
If he
trying
if he ain't hustling, he ain't trying.
and and if I'm on it, like it just seems I don't know, it seems somewhat of a foolish endeavor to try and grow a show in the shadow of the same time slot as the man of greatness. But it is the time slot that I have allotted to myself, so it's kind of is what it is, right? But this doesn't.
Absolutely. I mean, it's that tough juxtaposition between, am I pulling from him versus, is it worth it to even give it a shot?
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
kind of that's part of it, but the other part of it is it worth it to give up the watching of the Nick Rekieta?
Absolutely. Do you
My
want to get it
own stream.
live or do you want to get it after the fact?
Oh, it's so much better live. Oh, everyone knows
Absolutely.
that. Everyone knows that that's the way to watch live. Although I'm surprised. Can I tell you that we get roughly like 100 people that watch the Council on Future Conflicts live, and it gets generally on average like 1,000 views. So I'm wondering who are all these people who are, who aren't watching live.
Right. You almost want to be like, why aren't you guys watching Ricada? Like,
Like, come hang out with us if you're gonna come hang out in the chat. I suppose it's probably working people who actually have to do something in the mornings. Blah.
ugh. Yeah, I work for the Department of Veterans Affairs and I'm
Uh-huh.
on childcare leave. So I've got 12 weeks off. So
Oh,
this has been a
fantastic.
very different, wonderful time for me to be able to have time to do stuff like this. I'm not, doing the 9 to 5 thing. So when you said you were looking for folks to come on, I was like,
Oh,
oh,
that's
this
great,
this
man.
will be fun.
So, what do you do for the VA?
So I supervise a bunch of schedulers. So yeah, everybody's like, oh, I can't get an appointment with the VA. Well, I can help you with that. Hit me up in my DMs. They stay open. If
Ah,
I can't get you hooked up with somebody where you need to be, then I can give you the info you need to elevate that issue so you can get your stuff taken care of. Because the unofficial motto for a bunch of it, because I'm a veteran as well. the unofficial motto for a bunch of us is that the VA is giving you a second chance to die for your country since 1930.
you you do know
Um,
that I am a disabled vet, yes?
yeah, yeah. So there's
Or
there's a group of us from the inside that are trying to make it more streamlined, easier to get folks. It really is a case of if you know the person that finding the person that can help you out is like finding the holy grail.
yeah, no, it's true.
Whether
It's true.
it's
And it's the funny thing. Like, so I have to talk about this or not. Eventually, this is all gonna come out, I'm sure. So I have PTSD, and I'm actually 100%
right,
disabled with PTSD. And I got my, I got my, oh god, my brain is absolutely just fleeing because I'm worried about the consequences of this. To be clear, I used to be a streamer way back in the day. I did video games and I talked about being a vet who had just been thank you, who had just been diagnosed with PTSD, and I got swatted because a bunch of people wanted to see a vet get in a gunfight with the cops. Which is why I use the digital mask. It's why I use the Watcher. It's why I don't have my identity up on a bunch of stuff. So, yeah, I don't talk about it a ton, but I will say that I got my diagnosis. And while they would give me all the drugs that I could possibly get, I had free and easy access to my psychiatrist. I could not see a psychologist for one on one therapy. It took over 3.5 years. I ended up uprooting my family. Pardon me. Oh, fizzy water coming back up. And moving around the country to various different places so that we could try and find a place where I could get PTSD care. And even that ended up only being temporary because the funding for the program that we ended up using ended up getting pulled.
dude, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
no,
like,
it's fine because at this point I've realized that after a couple of the proclamations that have come out from the American Psychological Association and various other governing boards that have wholeheartedly signed on to the super deep levels of wokeness, I'm no longer seeking care from the VA in any
right.
in any like I go for a yearly checkup.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, there's actually it's interesting not to kind of chase that rabbit.
Not necessarily like I want to, but in order for what I'm about to say to have any kind of weight, know that I did study applied behavioral analysis psychology in hopes of becoming a psychiatrist, and I made it most of the
Right.
way down that path until the reproducibility study happened, and I realized that not only was that entire field a lie, all of academia was a lie, and fled.
Yeah.
Um, so when I say the following, realize that it's not just some. Hold on, I think the stream might be down. No, it says excellent conditions. I was just getting a spinning beach ball. Know that it's not coming from nowhere.
Right.
I do have an educated guess about this. Um, when you look into the partnerships between drug companies and when you look at the off label prescription habits of doctors towards particularly things like PTSD and TBI and a few of these other things, the candy shop like makes a little more sense in the context of free clinical trial data. To put another way, human guinea pigs.
Right. Oh yeah. No, it was, part of it, anecdotally for me as a patient, because a lot of the same things. I'm service connected for combat trauma related PTSD. Like, it's almost like, oh shit, we know this is a big problem. We don't have a solution. It's been poorly handled in the past. So you know, we're going to put our finger on the scale and go way overboard toward the direction of pharmacology until we can get a handle on it. And you've got, exacerbating circumstances like guys that were on mefloquine versus doxycycline downrange and all
So,
the things that go along with
so
that.
I
And
don't
yeah, it was
remember
very much a
I don't remember the
throwing stuff.
exact I don't remember the exact name of the drug cocktail that they put me on. It was three or four different things. But the one that almost literally killed me, that would have killed me had my mother not been an ER nurse because my wife, not knowing who to call, called my mother, um, was a heart it's a heart medication that is supposed to decrease blood pressure. However, I have a very well documented chronically low blood pressure. Um, they very, very, very nearly killed me, and since then I haven't touched any of the drugs they've given me.
Mm.
it's
Yeah,
it's it's one of those
I'm, I'm,
things.
I'm certainly not trying to.
No, no, no.
Watcher, you and I
I
didn't
get you,
didn't talk
and
about any
I
of this stuff beforehand.
no,
I'm certainly
we
not trying to
didn't.
out anything.
No, no, no. This is
It
it's.
just,
I find that in general, some of the best conversations I've ever had that are most air-worthy are the type of conversations you would never generally air because it's the first time you've talked to somebody and they're just things that come up. It's the most
right.
natural form of conversation, and podcasts that I've
Yeah.
produced professionally in the past, it's what we actually sought to do. But yeah, let's keep
Yeah.
going. Hold on just a
Yeah.
second. Dan S. here says psychiatry is proto-science and most of it will be disregarded in the future. Um, Partially, I think behavioral analysis psychology has a good chance of surviving. Psychiatry, yes. I think most of the things we are currently prescribing will be looked at in the same horrifying manner in which we currently look at lobotomization. Um,
Oh, I would agree wholeheartedly. I mean, there are so many medications that you look at and what they're actually being prescribed for are second degree effects that they didn't expect to see
yes,
when they were doing the initial clinical
yes,
trials.
that's what I was gonna go into was the heart medication that they put me on. So they put me on this heart medication that decreased my heart medication because it had been reported in other clinical trials that it helped with anxiety. The VA's first step was not to put me on any number of very well defined, well researched, well understood anxiety reducing medications. It was to turn to an off label heart medication, which was contraindicated by my file. It's which makes you then ask why. What was the motivation which caused this? And in my opinion, it is a relationship between the pharmaceutical companies and the VA, which causes misincentivization is what we can call it. Yes. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I
not
mean
saying that you agree, just saying that would be the
right.
appropriate term.
I understand the terminology you're using. I mean, one thing that's always blown my mind to go way into left field on that, but like I work in a teaching hospital, and a lot of our surgical residents come to us because we still do guillotine amputations. Um,
Hey, I've heard that that
and
is one of the best ways to do it.
and the one of the not I'm not saying the only reason, but one of the main reasons we still do it um, is because they send us people to be taught how to do it from us. I can't, I'm not a surgeon. I wouldn't
Right,
begin to talk about,
right, right.
surgical outcomes, what's, percentage rates, things like that. I can just say, anecdotally, you look at recovery times and they're very different for different kinds of amputations. And you think, well, why do we keep getting these public college residents sent to us in a government hospital? Well, one of the main reasons, straight up, is because we do this procedure that nobody else does. And the reason that we keep doing it is because they keep sending them to us to be taught how to do it. Like, guys, at what point are we just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks?
Oh no! See, I learned a long time ago. See, I was very fortunate to grow up in a medical family. Hold on just a second. Andrew S. Thanks for coming. By the way, says clinical trial means did the drug immediately kill the person? In general, yes. They do not track long term outcomes. If you look at methodology for long term clinical drug trials, long term does not mean what you and I would like to think
Right.
that it means, unless it
Long
causes
term is it's greater than 6 months.
the,
That's
the
long term.
the only time that you really seriously get actual long-term studies is when it is causing serious and significant damage to the point where multiple other doctors notice it from the opposite end, where they're trying to figure out what's causing damage to all of these patients that we're looking at, can't figure out what it could possibly. Hello, thalidomide. Thalidomide, folks.
Oh
Do you
God.
know how thalidomide was finally exposed? It wasn't the drug companies, it wasn't doctors, it was reporters.
Why are all these babies being born with super effed up limbs? Like,
So, so, oh man, we were going somewhere else before that. I can't remember. It's fine though. This is, guys.
talking
Just so you're
about,
aware, all three people that are currently here and the five that might watch this later,
yeah,
just so you're aware, expect rambling in this show. I not
yeah,
only have
absolutely.
one of the many idiosyncrasies of my brain is I have severe ADD, and so generally when I have a thought, I chase it down and I try and tackle it and grab it by the haunches and hump it into submission. And if I can't do that in time, it's gone.
You were talking about long-term studies, and one thing I haven't looked into enough, and I should because I'm part of it, is the Millennium Cohort Study. Have you heard of that?
You know what? This rings bells, but not enough that I am immediately
So
understanding. Is
the
this it's a
Millennium Co
voluntary study, right? If I
it is a
remember.
voluntary study that the Millennium Cohort Study. My understanding of it, just based on the mailers that I get because I'm part of it, there was a DoD put together a study group of a couple thousand veterans that they were going to follow for 20 years post deployment.
Yes,
Um,
okay, yes, I have heard of this. And I think I was initially participating, and as my distrust for the VA has grown, I have ceased participating in various things
yeah,
like that. I think that as part of that, my yearlies are put into that, which is, I think, the majority of what they wanted in the first place. Um,
right.
but yeah, I mean, that's for covering all kinds of different stuff, like all of the
Yes,
experimental vaccinations they gave us.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
oh
like,
shit.
did you get five anthrax shots or three?
Hey, how much time did you hang around the burn pit?
That's oh, dude. How
Hold on.
did that?
You go ahead and talk. I just have to silence some stuff on my end. I can still hear you
Yeah,
though.
that's fine. It would be interesting to do a correlation between, folks that had long-term burn, like, well, over the course of a year, burn pit exposure of, X amount of hours and how that relates to their outcomes for, if they had COVID at the same time. Did that kind of uh, assault on your lungs of burning trash and tires and burning fecal matter. Because I had burn pit exposure and I've had COVID 3 times.
Yeah,
I've been
it's real
vaccinated. It'd be
interesting.
interesting to see.
I had never
Did
had a URI before I joined the Marine Corps, and then
yeah,
suddenly I get pneumonia yearly. Isn't that
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
huh.
I get yearly without. You can almost time it on a calendar. I get sinus infections. In the spring, I'm not allergic to anything under the sun. I've had the whole panel, but once a year, every spring, I get a sinus infection that lasts about 3 weeks. And it's like it almost coincides with the end of winter and beginning of spring in Afghanistan.
Oh boy. Well, let's talk about the initial topic that made me decide that tonight was the night. Have you perchance had the opportunity to peep the timeline of events in Uvalde, my friend? The official timeline was
Every
released today.
Every single time I see some new kind of information,
It
it
gets
makes me want
so
to
much.
climb the walls and shout from the rooftops. And I say this as somebody who, I mean, when I got out of the army, I spent a couple of years in law enforcement. My wife's a teacher and helping, firm, policies for dealing with this kind of stuff, both on the teacher end and on the law enforcement side. Like everything about this was so wrong. And then I read earlier that they're planning on bulldozing the bill. Like, and I'm not a kind of guy. live in a weird intersection of goon Twitter and anarchy Twitter, just because I think everybody's fun to talk to. But like, I just like it. I'm trying to figure out. There is no one person that dropped the ball. There
No.
was such a systemic breakdown and failure.
No, and
It's
honestly,
like I the
let's talk about the
of
systemic nature of this. You can't get to
floor,
the outcome
and
that
the
we
cops
got.
hook him up, cuff him, and drag him off. I'm like, guys, what is going on?
Yeah, no. Well, first of all, imagine being the fucking order follower who decided that you're gonna follow that. Like, you know this man. You've probably seen his wife before at various different interdepartmental social events. You probably know them, right? You know what's going on. He's told you that she's in the classroom, and you decide you're going to fucking cuff him on the boss's orders and drag him off and take his gun away. Like,
All I can say, like as somebody whose wife is a school teacher,
uh-oh, hold on. Displaced. The last thing we heard was as someone whose wife is a school teacher, and I
it would
want
be a watchword. That
hold on.
like just
Can you hear
I
me?
cannot.
You
I can't imagine.
you cut
I
out there for quite
cannot.
a while, and the last thing we heard was as someone whose wife is a school teacher, and it sounded like an important thought, so I want to make sure we get the whole thing. Uh-oh, are you still there, bud? Talk the cops were textbook accomplices to murder, says Andrew S. Yeah, I shared a tweet earlier. It talks about a potential theory about what could have been going on, and I think everybody needs to probably have that in their head because I don't. Oh, he's gone. Let's see if he comes back. I hope. Oh, wait, there's another one. Is he back? Are you back?
Hey, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Hey, I'm back. Good, good,
Sorry, my
good.
Wi-Fi was being dumb. I don't like, dude.
You're good. You're
Like
good.
I
Hold
see
on.
this as.
let me
Oh no, go
let, let
ahead.
me tell you where we lost you. We lost
Yeah.
you at as someone whose wife is a
Oh,
teacher.
dude.
Go.
Yeah. As someone whose wife is a teacher and who has both as somebody who was in law enforcement, as somebody whose wife deals with this, my kids are in the public school system. Like I see it from all sides. From a policy standpoint, like if something like this happened, to borrow a line from epic rap battles of history, Leonidas and the Master Chief, they would make a monument to my sins by the
Oh.
time I was done. Like
Yeah.
dude, like it
Yeah.
just, I cannot fathom, I can't conceive of I mean, yeah, from a law enforcement standpoint, it's like, okay, we've been so ineffective that we don't want to insert other people into this and make it worse. On the other hand, I mean, how can we really make it worse other than just going in there and shooting everybody? Like,
So
guys, how are you really going to make it worse?
well, I mean, an hour and a half. You couldn't. I mean, well, I mean, first of all, I think we're gonna find out that they. I think we're gonna find out that they did in fact that not all of the children were killed by the suspect. I think we're going to find that pretty quickly. Real quick, Dan S says it's menticide, trained not to think just like the rest of the world. Man, I mean that's part of it, and I've been there. Look, man, oh shit, we keep losing him. I'll keep watching for him to come back because he does seem pretty persistent. Yeah, man. I will say it's I think that's part of it. It's definitely part of it. Especially when you're in a law enforcement and or a military position, they do teach you. Look, actually, I'm not gonna lie. This is part of where my brain is so fucked up about is that I believe I was a marksmanship. I was a PMI for a while, and I believe,
Right.
looking back on it, that some of the combat marksmanship training that we gave was potentially caused people to default to fire in situations where it would have been more advantageous not to. And it came from a place where the training was developed by dudes who had seen kids get tossed into wall lockers with grenades with the spoon pulled out. Just told to, hey, you're gonna hold this when they come. You're gonna drop it, and then that's it, right? And like I get it, but the part of where we were fighting in the later half was not that most of the time. So I don't know. I'm a little messed up personally about because the training we do give does utterly kind of disconnect your brain from the reaction, and there's a reason for that, right? I mean, like or at least we tell ourselves there's a good reason for that. I'm up for hearing debate on that. I don't want to state it as though it's a solid fact, but I think there's good reason for that. I mean, you don't have a lot of reaction time in these kind of scenarios, but that's not what
I
we're
mean
talking about here.
that is true, but I mean you go through so much on the law enforcement side. There's been a huge push in the last decade for what we call the continuum of force. What's an appropriate amount of force to be used, ultimately to culminate in shoot, don't shoot type scenarios. Where I mean, you did well, one of the things I saw today was they didn't even check to see if the door was open.
No, no, they didn't. No,
Like,
they didn't even
did you?
jiggle the handle.
And
Yep.
instead, they just lied and said that it was barricaded. You wouldn't know that if you didn't check the door.
So hey,
I
there's a
mean,
term in here I want to know here. So let's actually go through this a little bit. As long as we're going here, let's dive face first into the fuckery, shall we? So first of all, we get 11, 28, 25. By the way, all of this has been constructed by corroborating both radio traffic and video cameras. So, woo, um, pretty ironclad. Most of this is. So the suspect crashes into the ditch at 11:28:25. Two males approach from the funeral home and move towards the crash, and a teacher who, which it doesn't say in here, but I've learned through other sources, a teacher who is the one who was calling the cops was also the one who supposedly or is being accused of leaving the door open, right? So teacher calls 911 and reports a man with a gun. She actually initially called to report a crash. But as she was reporting the crash, it morphed into, oh my god, he's shooting at people. So at 11:31:36, the suspect is shooting between vehicles at the school. I don't know what shooting between vehicles means. Do you have on that one displaced?
so I mean, again, I haven't seen the video footage, what's out there, but like to back up to 11:29:20, where the teacher calls 911 and reports a man with a gun, and then they say she left the door unlocked. Okay, are you trying to bury this and pin it on her?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah, because she's come out with a statement later saying that she did not leave the door unlocked. But at the
I
same
mean,
time, as
regardless, between 11:31:36 and 11:31:43, where the patrol car accelerates into the school parking lot,
yeah, we
like
haven't got there yet, but
so
we'll yeah,
so
let's
so
talk about
right,
that.
but so like if I'm driving a patrol vehicle and I see someone with a gun and they're discharging it, as far as use of force continuum goes, that's automatically level 5, which is deadly force,
So
which includes
he
me
claims
using.
that he did not. That not only did he not see anyone shooting a gun and that he did not hear any gun discharges, he also claims that he was not there for a gun call. He was there for a wreck.
I mean, regardless, open your freaking eyes.
I know. I know. Good God. Roll down
You
your
know,
fucking window.
um, you know,
Stop blasting your pop
if
punk for 5 seconds.
yeah, this is all going to get pinned on Punk Goes Pop Volume 4 because he was listening to Too Late to Apologize by Silverside. But I mean, regard at that point, if his eyes were, he could have ended it right there by
Nope. Yep.
literally
Over.
using his vehicle as a method of applying deadly force to the shooter, and he would have been completely justified.
Quarter ton bullet. All
Exactly.
right. So,
But shooting between vehicles,
what does
that would
shooting
have to be
between vehicles
something
mean? What the fuck does
that
that mean? Like,
so
is
that
he like
that could
crouching
have
between vehicles and shooting at
that
people? Is he walking
again,
through? Like,
without seeing it, my assumption would be he's moving through the parking lot area discharging his weapon. Reading it, that's what that would mean to me. Which
So
again, I don't know how the police officer that comes onto the scene then says, "Well, I didn't see anything."
stop,
Where were you
stop.
looking, bro?
I want you to think about how angry you are right now, and I want you to remember that he hasn't even got into the school yet. You know that
Yeah,
thing? You know that thing where when you watch somebody and they're really fucking angry or they're really anxious and they're sitting down and they're waiting and their leg just kind of pops up and down? My leg's doing that
dude,
involuntarily and I can't stop
that's
it.
that's me 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Even when I'm sitting in church, my wife will reach over and just put her hand on my leg and be like, "Bro, chill out."
So he fires multiple shots into the school while outside the school, and then at 11:33 even, he enters the school through the west door. And then, within 24 seconds of entering, he begins shooting into classroom 111 and 112, which is where the rest of this horror show will go down, mostly. Um,
The
and then he enters
Where's the initial officer that entered the scene at this point? Is he on
right
the
here,
other side of the campus?
right here, west door, same fucking door. 3 officers, 2 rifles, 1 with a pistol. And
Listen,
within
if
five
they found
seconds
if
after
they
them, within 5 seconds after them, the chief enters with 2 other officers through the south door. So
listen,
you know
if
what?
if
Hold up.
if they found me as the only dead police, if I'm the first guy there and they found me dead in the doorway,
Worth
I'm
it.
happy at this point because I tried.
Worth it. Yep. Yep. All right. What was this school called again, real quick, so that I can search it. Does anybody know? Somebody in the chat, toss it if you can remember the name of the actual school. I've got Uvalde pulled up, but I can't remember that. It's Roberts. Um, just I want you guys to see what we're talking about when we talk about these entrances and like where all of this happens. Oh, the Robb Elementary School, is that it? I think that's
And
it.
again, I know that it is easy to Monday morning quarterback. It is easy to have not been there. I just there are
No,
so
no, no,
many
no.
systemic
Some of this is so
there are
far
so
beyond that.
many it's just beyond the pale. It is just inconceivable.
Oh, oh, yeah. Good memes. Good memes. Not what I wanted, though. Not what I wanted. I wanted this window right here so that I could plop this map into it. All right. So this is Robb Elementary School, and this is where the crash happened. So,
Now, you might want to screenshot that after they bulldoze the school so you remember what it looked like.
yeah. I mean, jeez. So this ditch is where he crashed. I actually don't know if he was coming this way or this way, but I would assume that he was probably coming down this way and came around here a little too fast and went in the ditch. Okay, so pops out of the ditch. These guys come over. He starts shooting at them. They run. He walks through here. So I guess walking between the cars, I bet what that is that he probably came right along here and then walked through here. Because this is the west entrance that I think they're talking about. This is the one that was taped up when I was looking at it. Let's look. No, wait, no, that's the south, right? So this would be the west entrance. Okay. All right. Back to the timeline. Oh, hold on. Let me look at chat. Make sure we got this. Rob L. Yeah, cool. All right, they got me. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you. He must have been moving through the parking lot. Yeah, that's what we're figuring. Okay, let's get that image pulled back up. Oh, where the fuck did I put it? Or did I kill it? If I killed it, then I've got to go pull it back up like this. All right, cool. You still there? I haven't heard from you in a bit.
Yep,
All
still
right,
here.
just sipping on the bourbon. Keeping cool. Is it getting hot at night over there? It's starting to get hot at nights over here. Like that nice sort of oppressive summer heat.
That super humid in the mid 70s to mid 80s kind of heat.
You know it. Did the room
Lets the
not have a
mosquitoes
window?
breed.
So, yes, the room did have a window. That will come into play, Andrew. That will come into play. Where is the ditch? Somebody asks. Let me give you the ditch. This is the ditch. This is the portion of the ditch that he crashed in, right here next to the road. That's the ditch. All right. We're ditching the ditch and we're moving back to the timeline. So, like I said, look at the time. He enters here 3:33 or 11:33, and at 11:35:55, roughly a minute and 20 seconds after he enters the classroom, three officers are on scene through the same door with rifles. Now, we've seen footage of this. I don't know if I want to. You guys have seen it, right? Do you guys want me to pull it up on stream? You guys let me know in chat. If not, I'm just going to keep moving. But Uvalde PD officers and one. So the chief enters, and three more officers enter through the west door. He's in the south door. Suspect gunfire injuring officers approaching the classroom doors. So he's got the door open because he's firing out the door, right? At 11:37. Am I reading that right?
That's what it looks like to me.
So an unknown officer says over the radio that he is contained in this office. Okay. So the chief who's on there calls the Uvalde PD landline. He's on a scene with an active shooter. Is there any reason that he needs to be communicating with the landline at this point? Once
I
he's
can't
there,
conceive. I can't conceive of one if he's got radio comms.
Well, how many does he have here? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he's got 9 officers. 10 plus a USCID officer. Jesus Christ, that seems like way more than enough to assault a classroom with a single shooter. All right. Well,
Yeah, and, I mean, if and again, I'm Monday morning. I'm armchair quarterbacking it. But if I'm on the scene and there's nothing going on for 15 or 20 seconds, and then a round gets fired, like 11:40:58,
there we go.
like
Yep.
it's game on, and I'm going in, and
You're going in
I'm
because he
doing
either just killed himself or he's shooting at other people.
exactly, and I'm gonna do shoot no shoot drills on anything above waist height because everybody else is probably on the ground.
So, Uvalde PD officer at 11:41:08. We believe that he is barricaded in one of the offices. There's still shooting. Dispatch asks if door is locked, to which Uvalde police replies, "I'm not sure, but we have a hooligan to break it." What's a hooligan?
So what he probably means is a Halligan tool, which is something that you see a lot on firefighter vehicles. It's the thing that kind of looks like a crowbar, a really wide crowbar at one end, and then an L-shaped tool at
Okay.
the top end
Pulling that up right
that they
now.
use to break into doors. They're super great. And I mean, so it's
Yeah, got it.
Halligan, Halligan. That's it. That's a Halligan tool.
So,
Um,
so they had one on scene, or at least that officer says they have one on scene. You'll see later that actually it took a little while. Um, but okay, so they don't know. Don't know. No one's tried the door. Four first responders enter from the east hallway. Two constables, a fire marshal, and a UPD officer. So I wish I had a little tool to do this real quick, but if we had a running officer count, what are we up to now?
so I mean, I haven't been doing the math either, but still, I mean, one thing that all of these guys I know have been trained on is the feds do through FEMA. They do incident command systems training, which talks about clear lines of communication and who's the scene commander and stuff, because you've got a bunch of different organizations on the ground, right? There was still, ultimately a scene commander that
Which was
had
him.
oversight. Yeah, and so I'm like, so if don't let anybody say, well, jurisdiction wasn't clear,
Yeah,
because that's not
he
true.
he has said that Chief Arredondo, who is the police chief of the school, the school has its own district. What do you call that? Its own police force. I don't know specifically how you refer to that. I think that's weird as shit. I don't like it. I think it sounds like something which is prone to corruption. Um, but there you have it.
Which may be part of the, again, not to throw on a tinfoil hat, but that may be part of the bigger issue here.
Boy, isn't it going to be interesting when we go through when they crack this police department open and it turns out that all this training money, oh, who knows, maybe somebody says they did some training and they took all that money for that training and maybe did something else with it. Not that I've ever seen that happen anywhere else in this government ever. That would only be a thing that they do in little tin pot dictatorship companies, huh? Or countries, huh? Huh.
Or that's what the feds do. We don't do that at the state and lower level. We're better
Oh,
than
of
that.
course, of course. Oh God, Jesus Christ, I'm so pissed. Yeah, we're up to 18. By the way, Dan S informs us we're up to 18 officers at this point. No, sorry, Dan S, 17, right? Because we got Chief Arredondo, who is the commander on the phone, on the phone at the scene. So and then we get another round fired at 11:44. 28 seconds later, police say, "I have some officers that are available. Get everybody back." So it looks like that officer decides he's going to get Skippy, which he should have. Jesus Christ. UCISD officer Ruben Ruiz, husband of one of the teachers in the classroom, enters through the west door and is heard telling other officers she says she's shot. 11:53. Unknown officer says they need to get out of the hallway, to which Uvalde PD officers respond, "Chief is in there. Chief is in charge right now. Hold on."
So can we back up to 11:44:28?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Who who is everybody? Have some officers that are available. Get everybody back. Other than Officer Ruiz, who is everybody? I mean, we're not identifying all of our.
I think he might mean crowd control, just because it does become applicable here in a moment. I think that is
Right.
probably what he's saying. Um, keep those parents from trying to rescue their children. He's saying. Interesting. They need to get out of the hallway. Well, why? Is it the hallway
Yeah,
the
if you're
shooter's in?
yeah, or if you're not staged to go in, why do you care?
Why? Well, first of all, why? I'm gonna have to keep asking this consistently, and it's gonna get annoying, but I don't really fucking care. Why the fuck aren't you already in there, fuckface?
Yeah, I mean, you've got,
Literally every person
you
there.
know,
I
you,
don't give a shit what the chief says. This is one of you ends this. One of you.
yeah, we have two known rounds being fired at this point. After the first round, nobody went in. Did the suspect inflict a gunshot wound to himself and end it? Okay, we have a second round being fired. Okay, F it, everybody stack on me. We're going in. Whoever's still alive after we enter, take down the bad guy. And everybody else will have a great funeral for you. But this is what we're here to do.
So so then let's see, we're up to 18, right? So let's add now we're up to 25. We now have 7 border patrol officers that arrive at 11:51:13. Shortly after them enters the first ballistic shield. Now I actually, if that is true, then the video that I saw today is even more shameful, the one in which there are 2 officers hiding behind a ballistic shield just kind of staring down the hallway as gunfire happens. But all right, yeah. Andrew S says we're 12 minutes into this and the cops already standing around. Correct. Boy.
I
I
mean,
have
you've got a whole platoon, of people at this point.
yeah, a literal platoon, yes. Mayfield Jukes. Wait, right before that, the chief is in there. Yes, this gets said multiple times that the chief is in there. The chief is in there, and that the chief is in charge, and that we just have to wait and do what the chief says. I have something I want to say, but I'm going to wait and save it until the end because it is emotionally impactful, at least for me. Right? The chief is where? Oh no, the chief's been there. Look. Mayfield, you may just be joining us. The chief has been on scene since minutes after the shooter got in, since 3 minutes after the shooter got into the classroom.
Before the first shot is fired in the classroom, the chief is there.
Well, I mean, he's shooting through the door before he gets in there. I
Well,
don't.
yeah, but
So that's not 100% clear, but yeah, I mean, it's bad. This is so bad. Oh, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. All right, UPD officer. Units just showing up. Can you help with crowd control?
it's nice to see where the priorities are.
Yup. Unknown officer informs a DPS special agent that all they need right now is perimeter. Someone comments about whether there are still kids inside, to which the DPS special agent responds, "If there is any, they just need to go in." This is not the first person. This is the first person recorded in this timeline. I know for a fact this is not the first person who had who had informed them of what their own policy stated and how the fuck they should be doing their jobs. Uh, so it's not like there's a lack of knowledge, and even if there was, it's not like nobody had informed them at this point. Hey guys. Oh, you fucking clowns. All right, here we go.
In case you're wondering what you should be doing, it's going in.
Yeah. Guy, I don't care if you arrived on scene. Like, oh my god. We'll go through. You know what? Maybe tomorrow night, guys. Should I do this again tomorrow night? If we do, I have an interesting idea. We could go through some of my favorite examples of that. When I used to teach classes, there's a moment before the class starts in which you do kind of a fire up sort of thing, and you give people a good story that's related to the topic you're about to teach. And so, because I was a marksmanship teacher, it was always a whole lot of stories to do with the shootings, right? There are some particularly excellent stories that I have surrounding some particularly valorous individuals who have done a lot with very little regarding firearms and the like in very similar situations to this. So if we come on tomorrow, it might be a good idea if I pulled together some of that. And we could talk about what you should, so some good examples, who you can't hear you. Hold on a second.
I can't hear you if you are.
Uh-oh. Hold on, chat. He can't hear me, but he will be able to in just a moment, I hope. So let's take...
Looks like you might be muted on your end, Watcher.
Aha. Well, no. StreamYards is just being a dick. Hold on. Sorry for the echo, chat. Give me just a second, I'll fix it. One side or the other has to get routed somewhere that it can't be heard. Can you hear me now, Displaced? Uh-oh. I might not be able to hear you. Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you. All right, fine. Chat, are you still there, chat? Are you with me? 5x5. Great. Sounds back. That's fantastic. Anyhow, if we do this tomorrow, it might be a good idea to go through some of those stories of valorous individuals who give us good examples of what you should do instead of the obvious piss poor examples we have here. Moving on. DPS special agent enters the West building and is directed on where the suspect focus is. He asks an unknown officer, "Are there still kids in there?" The unknown officer responds, "It is unknown at this time." That means that means you go in. Well, let's see here. We are at 150, 11:54, and he got in at 11. Oh, the call happened at 11:30. Yeah, 24, 26 minutes. It's Jesus Christ. Mayfield says spooks don't like this stream. The audio got sniped again. Mayfield, make no mistake. I know that the eye of Susan is upon me. It burns, but I try to manage as best I can. Can't hear displaced appellation. Uh-oh. Let me fix that. Because he's saying, he's dropping some good... Displaced, can you say something real quick so I can test? Ah, fuck. Hold on. It's not picking you up and I don't know why. Advanced properties. Alright, chat, I'm fixing it. I'm sorry. Oh, because it's picking up from the default. Well, that would make sense. Because the default isn't what's going on. Alright, you should be able to hear him now.
All right. So can you hear me now?
Yes, I can see the
All
little
right. Yeah.
slider.
So what I was saying is that we're 24, 26 minutes in at this point by policy. The administrator on the grounds, principal, whatever the case may have been, should have known the ratio of students that they had positive control over by either evacuation or lockdown versus the ones that they did not have positive control over in the shooter's area of operation, and reported that to DPS, the police incident commander on site, whatever the case may be. The response of we don't know how many, if any, and how many children are involved is a non-starter, because this isn't Columbine in 98, 99. This is 2022 in Texas.
Well, none of this is... I hate to say it, but look, like, we understand after long years of research that there is a cycle that happens after mass shootings. With the way that our media covers it, we understand that cyclically there is a period for about 13 days after any mass shooting happens during which it's significantly more likely that a mass shooting will happen again, that there's going to be like one form of copycat or another, whether it's the exact type of copycat or whether it's somebody else deciding that, hey, now's my time. It's
Right. I mean, ultimately we live in a broken world, and it's not supposed to be like this, but people make stupid decisions and they say, "Oh, well, I can do something like that. I'm a dumbass."
by the way,
And then they go do dumb shit.
I gotta bring this up. Not that it's we're gonna have a little palate cleanse for a moment. You okay with that? So
I'm down.
this is somebody just sent this in. I am so happy that you guys bought those patches. I'm glad you like them. I hope that you also enjoy the stickers. Please, if you're out there, let me know about the quality. Wander Away, I don't know if you're watching right now, but thank you. I appreciate you sharing this with me.
Dude,
Um,
I'm super bitter because I sent Sibley a note saying I needed to know when those went live, and he didn't let me know. So I'm bitter about it. I've I've got my murder cult drip. I got my shirt and my slaps, but I
oh,
missed the
brother.
Council on Future Conflict
So
ones.
there might be a couple coming up for sale. We had
Okay.
we had a mistake where I offered international shipping for only $5 because I very foolishly thought that just going to the USPS site and looking at what international shipping rates were would actually tell me anything. Oh, fool that I am.
Well, you went to .gov, and that's what happens.
So no, it's not just $5 because it's not purely paper, which I checked this. I checked the site again. If it's not 100% paper, then it has to be checked by customs, and that means that I have to pay $15 minimum. That's if it's going to Canada or Mexico right next door.
Oof.
So I have to work out, and I asked those people on the show to contact me, and I thought I had sent out an email, but I just checked a few minutes before I went live, and it turns out that I actually fucked up the way that I sent it, and so it did that thing where it pinged it back to me, but because I don't check that particular email box as often, I missed it. I'm going to resend it out to them, but I haven't heard back. But there's about 5 of them internationally that either need to pay a whole lot of extra money in shipping, or I'm going to refund them their order and apologize and maybe send them some stickers on the cheap, since I now know that I can at least send those internationally without having to have customs check them.
Well, let me know, and I can pick up a couple of patches and maybe slide a little extra to cover that paper only
That
deal.
paper only fee? Yeah, we'll figure
That's
it
right.
out, brother. Oh, now accepting Doge.
Yeah,
Can I tell you something hilarious?
Luna on the side.
I have been around the crypto scene for an incredibly long time. I don't want to say when because it makes it easier to try and track who I am. However, I will tell you this: I was digging Doge the very first day it came out. I was I have an unbelievable amount of Doge on an old hard drive that I still need to update and check into, but I'm not like keen to sell it, even though a prediction came true. I said, look, the meme power of this, and it being the first one that has tried to harness that meme, and particularly the meme that they chose being such a long-lived meme that is so applicable in so many scenarios, humans are not going to forget their love of Doge. And I don't just mean like the meme itself, but also dogs in general, because it's so intertwined. It was a really brilliant marketing strategy. The fact that it has no cap is ridiculous. But I always said, look, I thoroughly believe that Doge will one day be worth money. If nothing else, because it serves as such a great introductory tool. And I was correct, it turns out. I said that back when one Doge was worth less than a millionth of a penny.
Oof. Oof.
I know. By the way, have you seen my Joe Stradamus?
I have not.
Here, I'll give you one more
What did you
little
do?
palate cleanser before we move on, folks. I made a good meme, and I think we're going to use it for some other things, but I tweeted it. Here we go, Tactical Wisdom, and then I think I put it inside of Tactical Memes. That's correct. So here we are.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
In case you don't know, this is, for any in the chat that are unfamiliar, this is one of the traditional portraits of Nostradamus, the famous, what would you call him?
Wannabe prophet, pseudo prophet.
That not like, what's it called when you like make non-religious prophecies, right? When it's like, hey, like there's a word, prognosticator. That's
That's
the
right.
word.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
So he was a famous prognosticator who has. I mean, generally he did it in the classic grifter way. Again, I'm never gonna knock a grifter. Look, this is classic grift where you make a prediction and you make it in such a way with a bunch of like rambling little things that people can attach to all the different things in their own lives so that it sounds like it could be true. Like, there's so much to this. Yeah, prognosticator. There you go, Dennis. Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be vague enough to apply to anybody, but specific enough to apply to somebody.
Exactly. So he was very famous for doing a lot of those, and a lot of those seem to have, quote, come true in that, like, yeah, because it was scattershot wordplay that was like it's probably quote come true about 1,000 times. Unlike him, our actual Joe Stradamus uh, is kind of a set good prognosticator, my friends. He's
In that kind of lighter spot on the upper right, you need to throw a blended watcher symbol. Yeah, right there. Just a little bit north of there, just kind of like overlooking like the sun coming up through the clouds there.
So I was actually thinking that in the background here, when I am going to improve on this, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut him out, and then behind him in the background, I'm actually going to put a bunch of the things which he has predicted that have come true.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is going to become a scary meme really quickly.
It's already a scary meme. What are you talking about? You say that like it's not already true.
Dan says, same old fortune teller tactics, although I have read his works and I believe there is more than meets the eye. Totally
Yeah, I don't know
could
if he's
be.
talking about Joe or Nostradamus, but either
Oh no,
way, yes.
Nostradamus. Joe doesn't do the
Oh,
fortune teller thing. Joe bases his on we'll just say extra information that not everyone
yeah,
has access to. Oh,
that's an accurate statement.
how do I put this?
Allegedly.
How do I put this? I heard something good the other day, and it wasn't even in the context of Joe whatsoever. But they did say that times of uncertainty and insecurity are uh, bread and butter to those who provide security services. Uh, and this is true.
Oh, absolutely. When things get weird, everybody looks for an anchor.
Joe's a good one.
He is
All right,
absolutely.
everyone. So, hey, let's do a quick. If you don't know about Joe Dolia, go to tacticalwisdom.com, buy his books before it's too late, because you never know. I'm not going to lie, I just got my Soul Attack bag today, and for the last, like, month since I ordered it, I've been like, God, I feel like everything's going to happen before my Soul Attack bag gets here, and that's
Oh yeah,
not
I
a good
just
situation to be in.
I'll tell you this since Brother Dempsey's not here to say it, you need to start messing with it. If you can't do it in the dark, then you shouldn't do it at all.
Oh, it's true. Most of this stuff is stuff that so my tourniquets did not come because they're on back order, and those are the ones that I'm gonna have to learn, because they are not the type of tourniquets I am familiar with.
Oh, are you used to the cat tees and their SWAT tees, or?
No, these are cat tees, and I'm used to SWAT tees.
Oh, I got you.
And so it's the opposite problem most people have. All right.
Yes. I see. I'm the opposite. I'm used to cat tees, and then I got a SWAT tee recently
Well,
to
that's
get up on, and
that is how most people are, because it is the easier it is normally the way most people acquire theirs first.
well, and I mean the cat tees are great because you can pre-place them. Um, we'd go out on patrol with them already on our arms and legs. All you'd have to do is cinch them down and twist the windlass and lock it in, and you were good to go if you needed to.
All right, so let's get back to this now that I've accidentally killed it 3 times. So where were we in this horror? You realize we're less than
I think
halfway through
deep,
this fucking horror show, right?
yeah, and we've been going for what, an hour?
Oh, we can go faster than this. It's just like I.
Oh yeah, no, it's. I think we were at around 11 when DPS was asking how many kids
That's right.
were in
DPS
there, and
had
they said
just
we don't
asked if
know.
there were still kids in there, and they don't know. God damn it. If there's kids in there, we need to go. That's where we're at. What's that? If there's kids still in there, we need to go in there. Whoever's in charge will determine that, says an unknown officer, whom I hope is identified.
Yeah, all these unknown officers have got it made in the shade. until sometime next week, probably, when the first lawsuits come and they get unmasked.
Oh, PD channel recording. Again, it is critical for everybody to let PD tank point on this.
Did nobody ask why? I mean, again,
Oh,
I know it's easy to ask that question after the fact, but like, if they're not doing, I mean, it was always drilled into my head in every leadership school I went to. If nobody's in charge, take charge. And if the guys that are in charge are not acting like it, take charge.
all right. So, before my head pops off, let me read this. After an unknown officer asks where the shooter is, and another unknown officer advises, the school chief of police is in there with him. All right, I'm just going to move on before I explode. DPS says it sounds like a hostage rescue situation. Sounds like a undercover rescue. They should probably go in. Yes, DPSSA, you are correct. I don't know what an undercover rescue is, but you are correct. DPSSA indicates he wants to go clear more rooms, and unknown officer replies, "Don't you think we should have a supervisor approve that?" To which DPSSA replies, "He's not my supervisor." DPSSA, you should have already gone in the room. However, what you're doing so far, you might be in line for a POB. All right. So 12:03 looks like 911 calls from the students inside the classroom begin. Oh boy.
Dude, I'm, this is going to be a trip.
Yeah. Are you ready, kids?
I'm not going to
Oh,
make the obvious joke.
I know. Second ballistic shield enters the west door. Third ballistic shield enters the
All
west
right, so
door.
we've got a freaking phalanx of ballistic shields at this point.
Do we have an officer count out there? Can we get oh, Mayfield Jukes POB? The POB is the patented, the coveted pat on the back. That's essentially the highest award that any good guy can ever hope to accomplish. The amount of smart ones left or didn't join. Okay, yeah, we can get into that. So let's talk about the first part of that, the smart ones, right? So I assume that's in reference to the police precinct that fired officers for being too high IQ, was sued for doing so, and then won the lawsuit. Like, yeah, we'll just I'll leave that out there.
Yeah, their GT scores were over 110.
Yep. So I'll just there you go. They had a reason. I know what the reason is. It's not a good reason. It's a very bad reason. It's how you get things like this. But let's move on, right? So the second part of that is left or didn't join. Good God, good God, my man. Can we imagine how many little kids no longer want to be cops? And who could blame them? Who could blame them? Name a good cop role model.
I mean, I can't think of one since like either Gruff McGruff taking a bite out of crime or Reginald Vell Johnson in Die Hard 2.
No, man. I think we have some a little bit newer ones than that. We've got the 9/11 first responders. I think that is the last real serious time in which I went, that was cops doing the right thing. I'm sure there's little cases. I see little cases all the time, but it's mostly cops putting good shots down range. It's not necessarily stuff like this.
Yeah.
All right, so the 911 calls have begun, and we have a phalanx of shields as well as. Do we still have a running count? Do we know? I think we're up to 27 officers, roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 20. No, 23. 23 officers. All right. So their assumption is that ethics go with stupidity, not intelligence. Sounds like a great way to grease the skids. Doesn't it just? Doesn't it just? Nobody's smart enough to ask questions. That's always important, right? Banana Republic. Moving on. Well, okay, so here's a question for you, Displace. What's BORTAC?
Off the top of my head, if I remember right, it's Border Patrol Tactical.
Okay. Okay, that would okay. So I forgot Uvalde is close enough there that this is technically like a within 50-mile Constitution free zone sort of area where there's border patrol just kind of hanging abouts. Oh, Dan S. Don't even get me started on Idiocracy, man. The best documentary I've seen in a long time. Left
They
out.
hadn't had their daily dose of electrolytes because it's what
It's
plants
true.
crave.
It's true. Oh well, federal plants definitely crave electro. I need to make that a meme. Holy shit! It just rolled off my head, and now I'm like, holy fuck. Anytime that you see a Patriot, guys, get me pictures. Send them to me on Twitter. Send me pictures of Patriot Prayer guys with drinking Gatorades, because you know they do. They all fucking do that. Because feds, because I at one point was one, as you all know. I I drank ridiculous amounts of Powerade and Gatorade when I was, well, partially because I worked outdoor in a desert in 120-degree weather, but still, uh, they crave electrolytes, my friends. Just downloaded it. Yes, good stuff. All right, so moving on. So the chief finally speaks after BORTAC arrives. He requests a master key at 12:11. Remember, folks,
For the door that he hasn't checked to see if it was unlocked or not.
he's been on the phone. Holy fucking shit. The chief has apparently been on the phone. Am I reading that right? Is that 31 minutes? I
I
I'm
mean,
sorry. I'm
who
sorry. My
knows what
blood.
that conversation was like? If it was him talking to the mayor, him talking to whatever.
Oh well, yeah, we could go a little higher than that because that is my suspicion. But ooh, tinfoil hats. Ooh, okay, moving on. Um, what is it they like to say? How many more kids have to die? Anyhow,
All of them, apparently.
guess so. Requests a master key. Gives instructions to officers to have a sniper on the east roof. All right, let's go back to the map. I think that's map worthy right there. So let's check in on the map. So this is the building, as I understand it, and the classroom. So let's get ourselves oriented, right? Never eat soggy waffles. So this is going to be the west door. So I'm assuming that means that classroom 111, 112, probably somewhere here if they're trying to position a sniper on the east building. Safe bet? Appalachian, you there?
Yep, looks good to me.
Okay.
Like what? They're gonna plug the dude as he runs away after he kills all the kids.
I guess that, well, see, there's a window here, and that's, like I said, that's going to come into play. The crowbar is a hell of a master key. I know. I was, you might not have even needed it because, again, no one has checked the fucking door. No one has even so much as jiggled the fucking handle. Sorry.
I mean, and if those doors open out, so that if those doors open out and the hinges are on the outside, that Halligan tool can, even if you don't use it to break the lock, you
You
can
can just,
pop the hinges
yeah, you
off
can
the
pop
door
the
with it
hinges.
and
That
just
takes
take the
less.
whole fucking door off.
Yep, somebody skilled in doing that can do it in under 20 seconds. Whew, all three hinges. It's quite a sight. Anyhow, so before my blood pressure pops my head clean off my shoulders, let's keep going. Um, Sniper on the east roof. Bortec members arrive in the west building. Okay, cool. So real quick, where did Bortec actually come in? Did it say? Bortec begins arriving at the elementary school. Okay, so it doesn't really say. Uvalde Chief, I just need a key. Tell them to fucking wait. No one comes in. I would love to know what context that was in. But, I think I want that one tattooed on his face before whatever else
Yeah.
happens.
Before we get a Inglorious Bastards type.
Yeah,
Well, they'll never forget who you are after we put this one on your forehead.
Oh, take my time. They did. Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks, boss. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. We might actually, guys. I think we might actually get to the literal point when it happened in real time, like actually as long as it would have taken. Holy fuck, that's kind of nuts. Think about that for a second. Think about how long we've been pausing and talking about random bullshit. All right. Suspect fires a fourth ballistic shield enters the west door. We now officially have a full turtle formation. 12:20. Suspect fires 4 more gunshots about a minute after that happens. Uvalde Chief, can you go get a breaching tool for a trailer house? How is this different from breaching tool displaced? Is this something like
I, I, again, these are fire rated interior doors that probably open out. You're not going to use. I mean, I'm thinking like a breaching tool for a trailer house. Is he talking about like a ram? You're not going to ram a door that opens out. I don't know what he's talking about.
so so let me ask, do they use breaching shotgun charges in situations like this? That's
Not
not.
on those kinds. Not on those kinds of doors again, because they're solid core fire rated doors. You're not going to do that because you're not gonna break through that door with that. I mean, it's not a hollow door that you can blast out around the lock and pull it open anyway.
Okay, so
I mean, I'm not up on my building codes in Uvalde, Texas, but
no, neither have I. But
almost.
I've seen the door, and or at least I've
I
seen the other
mean,
doors in the school, and yeah, I don't think you're going through that with a RAM or like. Well, I mean, if you have 20 minutes, it's gonna look like that fucking meme that they've GIF edited with that Spetsnaz dude hammering at the door for 20 minutes. Is what it's gonna look like.
I mean, it's just you'd almost be. I mean, better off getting a freaking sawzall with a metal blade and cutting the hinges off the door and pulling it off.
So four more gunshots. Can you get a breaching tool? We've lost 2 kids. Boy, if you were counting shots, I'd say you lost a lot more than 2. These walls are thin. If he starts shooting, we're going to lose more kids. I want you to stop. They haven't evacuated the rest of the school while they were sitting in the hallway with their thumbs up their asses.
Yeah, I mean, can you pull the map back up?
Yeah. So instead, in fact, good point. Before you get to what you're going to talk about, let me talk about this. You know that scene where they're fighting the parents? That's happening right here, and it's happening around this time. So there's the map. Here's where everything's happening. This is the rest of the school. They're all still locked down, sitting in their classrooms.
I mean, you can evacuate everybody out that east side
Well, and this south
away
door as well.
from.
The south door as
Yeah.
well. If presuming he came in this west door, this is the only door I'm seeing which looks westward facing, so I am assuming this is the west door. Presuming he came in here, these appear to be where the classrooms are, because it wouldn't make sense if the classrooms were here. I think this is administrative stuff, so he's in here, right? Somewhere in this area. Just, yeah, Mayfield, just utterly stunning. All right, let's finish this travesty. People are attempts to communicate with the suspect in English and Spanish. Oh, I hate to say, sorry, he goes, if he starts shooting, we're going to lose more kids. I hate to say we have to put those to the side right now. What did that mean? What did that mean?
I think that's going to be a great question for a lawyer to ask.
Oh yeah.
In a,
I think
I mean,
I think looking forward, when we look at, like, I wish I would have reached out to Andrew. I'm sure he's too busy right now, but Andrew would be the perfect person. Guys, tag Andrew in this part of it. Like, I'm gonna come and ask him, what did this part mean? What, like, because you know what it sounds like.
it sounds like the Michael Jordan meme. Fuck them kids. I don't mean to be crass. It's just like, it's like.
Nope. Okay. So let's attempts to communicate with the suspect in English and Spanish. I'm glad we're being multicultural. There's a teacher shot in there, to which Uvalde police replies, I know. Oh, because remember, Chief was on the phone. Apparently. According to this timeline, Chief was on the phone when his man came in, said my wife is bleeding to death. She says she's shot and he's in there killing kids. And the guy was restrained on his orders and then left. Didn't want to interrupt his important phone call. People are going.
I'm holding my tongue on that because I don't have anything constructive
Nope.
to add. I only have things that are destructive.
Yep. People are going to ask, why are we taking so long? We're trying to preserve the rest of the life.
Yeah, I want to know who was on the other end of that phone call.
Me too. So let's, real quick. So it is now roughly an hour since the shooter. 57 minutes after the shooter enters the. Why is it doing this? Go back. We want. So 57 minutes after the shooter enters, he starts saying, "Oh no, people are gonna ask what has taken so long." But again, remember, folks, we're still a half hour from getting the shooter. So, do we have a team ready to go? Have at it, he says, at 12:27:29. There's a window over there, obviously, The door is probably going to be locked. We still haven't fucking checked because we're utter fucking morons. Utter contemptible wastes of fucking flesh. Alright? So, the door is probably locked. That's the nature of this place. Boy, when people talk like this, it sets off alarms in my head. Remember, these are direct quotes that came over the radio. When people use elaborate, obviously unfamiliar language like this, it starts to set off alarm bells in my head that they are running another level of processing over their words, if that makes sense. That there is another process going on in their head other than just speaking and doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is causing them to think very carefully about the words that they're choosing and trying to sound smarter than they actually are. Just an observation. So there's a window, right? Hey guys, let me ask you something. If you and I are going into a room displaced and we have to do the dirty on somebody and they're inside of a confined space, what's like rule number one of like easy ways to pop a bad guy?
If they're looking at the door, shoot them through the window.
Yeah, like 100%, right? Like every fucking time. Like, and the bigger the windows, the better, because it's a big, beautiful bay window. Big, beautiful bay windows. The biggest, beautiful bay windows to kill those fucking shooters through that you've ever seen in your lives.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we're not talking about like a 4-inch wide, 12-inch tall, weird window where you've got to be right up on it. No, we can be 50 or 60 feet back where the shooter doesn't have clear line of sight and we can do the business.
Christ, by this point, how do they not have a sniper there? They called for him half an hour ago.
He wasn't one of the 27 guys they had on scene.
Jesus fucking Christ. This is so...
it's interesting. You talk about, I had you muted when you were talking about parallel process thinking because I was urinating.
Gotcha.
And the bourbon got through me.
You broke the seal too.
I did. I popped the seal. Parallel process thinking never works when you're in an area like this because you're inevitably going to get asked about it again later, and you're not going to be in the same frame of mind as you were when you were self-editing.
This is all going to unravel, but the question is, who is it going to unravel to, and will the public ever get to see it?
Oh, who are they going to scapegoat for it? Because it won't be the chief.
No. Well, it needs to be, honestly. People are howling for his blood, and honestly, they need to. The city, I can't believe the city went through with making him the... Look, and hold on, I'll get into that here in just a second, because we'll go
through behind the closed doors city council deal.
Yep, and we'll go through the mayor's tweets here in a minute, because they're a lot shorter. I've got a train coming. Go ahead, you talk for a bit while this freight train howls at me.
So yeah, I still cannot just wrap my brain around the lack of urgency involved on every person's part. We've seen 6 reported gunshots that have been, isolated and identified. How afraid was this entire precinct of their chief that nobody had the stones to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. We ought to act differently. Because you've seen it. You've seen him questioned a couple of times at this point, and the response has always been, "We need to get a supervisor, or the chief is on scene."
Don't question the chief. You know what else that speaks to me though of? It might fear is one way, and fear is a poor leader's general first tactic. But I'll tell you, the other thing it speaks to me is incompetence. Not knowing what to do at all. And I personally have noticed that there are, I'm going to pull the old cliche, there are 2 types of people, right? Now, there's obviously a lot more than 2, but I will notice that in this respect, I have noticed that there are 2 main modes of operation. There are people who tend to be anti-authoritarian, who in their thinking don't generally tend to even have a filter step for what does the authority think I should do in this situation. They generally just tend to think of, look, there's a problem, how do I solve it? And then there's another type of person, a very domesticated, institutionalized type of person, whose immediate first reaction is, I need to reach up to somebody higher up so I don't get in trouble for this.
Right. It's the people that are permissive in their thinking. They can only do what's been explicitly authorized to be done.
Andrew S., I wouldn't know anything what you're talking about. I definitely did not fill an E8 billet for more than a year as a Lance Corporal. That definitely that did not happen, and the records probably will show it as such. Oh, anyhow. Uh
And there's an interesting conversation to be had, I think, and I don't know if this is the right time to have it, but and I'm certainly not trying to cover for anybody's lack of courage or personal fortitude,
Sure.
but that how often have how it would be interesting to go back through training records and see how often were they trained on um, decision making processes
Yes. And
versus
where was that
did
money spent?
did right versus the first time somebody says I want to talk to a supervisor, you just shut down and wait.
Yeah, no,
So there's this kind of institutionalized thinking of, well, if there's somebody higher ranking on the scene, I don't need to
yes.
think, so I'm
Yes.
not going to.
No. This deeply, like I said in the beginning, and I kind of nudged at it, but I'm gonna say it directly. I think when you look into these training records, one of the things you're going to find is misplacement of funds. I think you're going to find that this police department probably did not do its training, or did its training so that it's on the books, got the money for doing the training, and then never actually completed the training.
Yeah, how much stuff got pencil whipped, and did they get PPP loans?
Oh boy. Not just PPP loans, probably federal
Right.
loans for
Oh
having
yeah,
officers up on
yeah.
specific trainings and
Oh, dude, DHS loans, like all of it. Like Department of Homeland Security funnels so much money to local PDs for exactly this kinds of training on a quarterly basis that
oh
it would make your head spin.
oh yeah, the New Hampshire local police departments can get Bearcats because the Free State movement, who again are wanting to move there because they want to repeal a bunch of laws. Scary. Um, New Hampshire can get a Bearcat for the Free State movement, but this school had. Never mind. Never mind. We'll, we can go into mismanagement of funds another time. That's
Where'd they get 4 ballistic shields? Those things aren't cheap.
we got 4 ballistic shields. That's true. That's true. Okay, so where are we at here? So people are gonna ask why we're taking so long. Do we have a team ready to go? There's a window. Yeah, there's a window. You notice the window and you still don't send anybody around to it. It's fantastic. These master keys aren't working here, bro. We have master keys and they're not working. R/doubt. Uvalde. Okay, we've cleared out everything except for that room. Boy, that is 7 minutes from when you said that you hadn't cleared out anybody else and you were worried that the walls are very thin and you'll lose more kids.
I mean, on the one hand, that's impressive. On the other hand, with that many people, that
I don't.
shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's true. But I don't see anywhere in here them evacuating the other classrooms.
Yeah, there's no instruction given to go do that.
I say we breach through those windows and shoot his fucking head off through the windows. Boy,
Now we need to be John McClane.
boy. So it's 12:33. It only took us an hour to arrive at this solution. Halligan, not hooligan, breaching tool enters the west door at 12:35. Oh,
Wait, didn't they have one of those an hour ago?
they claimed they had one an hour ago, and I said this would become a thing where an officer said they had one to go through the door, but this is the first mention of one actually coming. Am I wrong in saying that seems like something that would probably a part of one of the patrol car's kits? It seems like
I can't speak to them. I know that's all I can say from my own experience is that's normally a fire department thing, but by then they're also probably on scene to render medical assist.
we have seen the first responders, which included the fire marshal. Yes.
So yes, the fire marshal would have had a Halligan tool probably in his vehicle. Probably. I don't, again, I didn't outfit his vehicle. I don't know, but it's normal.
If I had to guess, yes. Okay. So, Uvalde ISD chief Arredondo attempts once again to communicate with the subject in English and Spanish. Just so you understand, we think there are some injuries in there. And so you know what we did. We cleared off the rest of the building so we wouldn't have any more besides what's already in there, obviously. That is a man knowing that this radio conversation will eventually come back on him, trying to retroactively justify why his officers are still standing outside an hour and 10 minutes after the shooting has begun. All right. We're almost done. We have a fucking problem. Get into the room because it's locked. No, you still haven't checked the door, actually. He's got an AR-15 and he's shooting everything, shooting everywhere like crazy. So he's stopped. They gotta get that fucking door open, bro. They can't get that door open. We need more keys or something. If y'all are ready to do it, you do it, but you should distract him out that window.
So they sent somebody around to knock on it?
I guess so. 12:47:57, Sledgehammer enters. That's a minute after they just said that. And then 5 minutes after that, they finally breach and exchange gunfire.
So I guess if they entered with a sledgehammer, these would have been doors that opened into the classroom, not out of.
No. It doesn't say they used the sledgehammer to breach. It just mentions that is the time at which that piece of equipment entered the building.
Oh, that is true.
Folks, here's what I've been wanting to say about this whole thing. I know a lot of very dear friends who felt guilt about things which they probably shouldn't have actually felt guilty about, who are no longer with us because they made decisions like suck starting a shotgun. And I will say that they were significantly better men than this. Every single person involved in this. And that they had significantly less to legitimately feel guilty about. We'll leave it at that. So, with that, the mayor's talking a lot about how he's being shut out of the investigation by the Rangers. And to me, I'm going to pull up that tweet thread while we're talking here for a second. But to me, that would say, I think he's part of being I think that the city council's part of the investigation because the or at least won't be privy to the investigation at the very least, because the mayor is because the police chief is on the city council. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, especially if the mayor was the other side of that conversation that the police chief had for 30 minutes to an hour the entire time all of this was going on.
Yeah. Well, I think it might have started with the mayor. Can we find out? I should probably look. This is in that area that's getting flipped, isn't it? This is it's near the border. I'm assuming. Let's pull up the map. Let's zoom out and see what part of the border this is in. Uvalde's not actually that close to the borders. No, okay. Yeah, this is kind of that area. Down below, like down west of San Antonio, kind of in the bottom. I don't know what you call that. That little foot shape on Texas. Anyhow. All right. Well, I'm gonna look this up real quick, but I don't know. This doesn't look good. I very much wonder if this is a part of the timing. The timing is impeccable, is it not? Is so. Where's the Rio Grande? Right. This is the Rio Grande. This is Del Rio. Yeah, Del Rio's on the Rio. This would be the Rio Grande Valley, and I believe that makes Uvalde technically part of that area that just flipped from blue to red for the first time in 150 years. Am I right? Are you there?
Yeah, I am. I'm not that familiar with the
I'm gonna look this up real
politics
quick.
of
GOP.
Texas. And
I'm gonna look this up real quick. GOP election primary maps. The door wasn't even locked. You hate regret. Oh, God, tell me about it, man. Keeps me up at night. No wrong. I'm wrong, Andrew. Okay, cool. The county's voted red since 1968 presidential election. All right. So I was wrong about that then. It is in the area, though. Am I right about that? Like, isn't that the neighborhood of which they just flipped? This kind of neck of the woods. I think Andrew's from that area, so you probably know better than I do. Anyhow, it makes me wonder about this being part of a broader agenda. Zapata County.
it's tough because on one hand, correlation doesn't mean causation, but lack of correlation doesn't preclude causation.
So Zapata, it's not that far. I mean, honestly, if you've all these less than 50 from the border, and I think it is. Let's check here real quick. Yeah, it's a little more than. Yeah, it's about 50. You ever notice this little measuring tool they got down here? Handy. So, it's about 100 miles. It's not that far off. Very long and thin. Gotcha. Well, I don't know, man. I'm just saying. It seems like an interesting scenario. The FBI knew about the guy. It looks like some of that might not actually have been as. They might not have known as much about it as people thought. Like initially, people said, "Oh, he had been picked up for threatening to shoot up a school before," but it's coming out that that's not actually accurate, or at least that was the last bit of information I had seen. I don't know, man. This is just infuriating. I don't know how we continue like this. I do you think anything's gonna happen to them, these cops?
I mean, it's criminally, no. Um, Civilly, that's a completely different can of worms. It really, it almost depends on, you know, who gets involved, who tries to steal the limelight. I mean, I'm not saying it would happen. I could just see some person like Lynn Wood, somebody trying to come in. Oh yeah, we're going to represent all the families. The last thing they need to do is a class action. Every individual needs to bring individual suits and let a judge rule accordingly. I mean, but you know, because it's done under color of law is a powerful phrase where it's almost impossible because of recent Supreme Court decisions to prove criminal negligence on the part of a police officer.
Well, and honestly, I can't believe these look. I track a lot of broader strategies that Democrats are doing, and some of this would fall so squarely into. Look, let me paint you a picture. Let me draw a little picture here of how this could go down, not how I think it's going to go down. Just a potential future, right? Um, Biden, seeing his numbers in the absolute gutter, pulls a 180 on his defense of these officers and says that as the facts have come out, he actually learns that they did not, in fact, do their job, and that his original defense of them was wrong, and then pulls essentially what he's doing to these cops on the border to try and please the leftists, but in this case, for everyone. For not just a publicity sake, but for the sake of the Democratic and, to be honest, establishment Republican agenda of federalizing law enforcement. All of this would work so well to talk about how this was a failure of local law enforcement and that a federalized force obviously would never have acted this way. And in fact, we had federal agents on scene at the time. In my understanding, it was his elderly relative's truck. Yeah, I think it was his grandma's truck. There's going to be a lot come out about that. Like the rifle, apparently he got it through their through a credit program that particular seller offers, and that's, I mean, whatever. Buying's buying, in my opinion. It's not that big. Like, if, what are they going to do? Are they going to issue a psychological screening before they offer financing? And if they did, do you think that's actually going to catch any of the people, or do you think that maybe people can catch questions on form exams?
Yeah, there'll be a
Jesus.
wiki on how to beat that exam, you know, in a half hour.
Well, and it's not like,
Um,
look, you can either make it so subjective that there's no way you could legally deny someone based on the results, or you make it so obvious that it's accurate but very easy to subvert because you just say no,
well,
I don't,
and
I've never killed kittens, no.
right. And what manufacturer is going to pay somebody to sit there and go through those?
Yeah, I mean they are high end ARs, don't get me wrong, but again, if he's buying on credit, everybody was, look, this is during a time period when everybody was really eager to offer credit, and the kid just turned 18. Do you have any idea like how much credit companies salivate at an 18-year-old that they can slag with a fucking 32% interest rate? Come on, guys. That's all pretty basic.
It's not like he was buying a Camaro off post for 27% with
I wouldn't know anything about that.
a direct draw from his
From my
his
account, yeah.
yeah.
Oh shit! I think mine
It's
was like
it's direct draw on his LES. It's whatever.
I
Again,
my
yeah, like you, I know nothing about such
mine
things.
mine wasn't a Camaro, but yeah, wasn't much better.
Oh, I got the picture package and the ring from the people on post when I got off of graduated basic training.
Well, okay, but look, Dan. Like, I mean, there's something to that. But let me put it to you this way: like, This guy probably should have been denied, but think about the things he would have been denied for. They're all things that you could come back and sue the gun manufacturer or the financier, whichever one decided to institute this test in, and claim that it's a civil rights violation, because it would be. Like, there's nothing saying that people with mental illnesses can't have weapons. And in fact, let's talk about something here real quick, folks. Trite but true, people with mental illnesses are actually significantly more likely to be victims of gun violence than perpetrators. It's it's a thing. Um, yes, there are a lot of crazies. However, I am not for getting rid of people's rights because they have a mental illness. And in fact, I submit to you that this will simply create a system in which those who most need help with their mental illnesses won't seek treatment for fear of losing their weapons.
No, absolutely. I mean, how many times, you go to the doctor and you get to the end of their little intake questionnaires. Do you have guns at home? Uh, why do you ask?
Andrew S says he saw some PFC buy a car at 40%.
Jesus. PFC Snuffy and your squad leader and platoon sergeant. First
it's,
sergeant wants to see you.
it's hard out there for PSC Schmuckatelli, alright? God, who would do that?
Listen, the Bears monies don't just
Oh,
get in any old car
that's true. I mean,
on Friday
that's
nights.
that's a fact. I mean, it's a solid fact. It's not even arguable. Good God, man. Oh, all right, chat. You've been fantastic. I think 2 hours. What? Hour 51. So we'll probably wrap it up. We got about 9 more minutes in which we'll just kind of say our thank yous and just kind of talk some smack. Thanks for being here. We're gonna make this more of a regular thing. I like Night Watch. That's a good name. I don't.
Yeah, it is.
I need to go back and figure out who did that. I need to like send them some stickers or something because Night Watch fits. And I think here pretty soon we're going to be having Riot Watch as well. And a lot of you guys don't know this. I don't talk too much about it because, of course, this is my very first time on Twitter ever. But let's say that hypothetically, I used to have a different Twitter account, and that hypothetical Twitter account hypothetically followed riots for the last 2 years, listened in on various different radio streams that were happening in various different parts of the country, interviewing people who are on the ground, gathering intel on, we'll just say, the opposition, and putting pieces together. And we never really did a YouTube side of that component. It was all just Twitter threads. And then I was shown that that was a very foolish way to conduct research because hypothetically, Twitter didn't necessarily like me showing concrete evidence when leftists would try and say that everything was peaceful and just and nice. It was a used car too. Of course it was. Of course it was. No one's gonna sell a new car to a PFC. Come on, come on now. Oh, woo, folks. I'm glad we did this, but man, my blood pressure. So, what's the takeaway from this, man? Is there a good here's what we do about this? I don't think there is.
No, there's not. I mean, there are so many systemic failures. There are so many failures from the training standpoint. There are failures from a how do we do, command training for our civil servants that are in these kinds of leadership roles. Um, I mean, it's not the kind of things where it's not the kind of thing. It's not an AAR. It's not an after action review where it's like, give me three sustains and three improves. There are no sustains. There are no things that we need to keep from this. There's nothing that anybody did right, other than the people that were asking questions that
Do
got no answers.
does a school district police force even have, like, can you even vote for any of the people involved in this? I suspect no.
I have never even heard of such a creature,
Nor
to be
have I.
honest. I mean, we've got school resource officers and stuff like that where I am, but they're all, you know, they're all officers that are employed. They're
It's a
all certified
position
officers
at the
employed
police
by local.
office. Yeah.
Right, they're from the local departments, and the local departments have oversight of them. It's not this freestanding. Yeah, one takeaway I would have from that is anywhere that this school department thing is, that needs to be torn to the ground and thrown out.
So I'd like to talk to Safety Doc about that, because the stream that we did with Joe over on Tactical Wisdom, which you guys should go check out and go watch if you haven't seen it yet. It was fantastic. We broke this down before this much information was available about it. With do you know who Safety Doc is?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So Safety Doc, Joe, and I all sat down and went through all the information that was available a couple days last week sometime. Um, and that's one of the big things we went over is that, and specifically more of what we got tonight. None of this makes sense unless there are other motivations at foot.
yeah. I mean, you get rule number three is don't waste a crisis.
You're elected for a school district. Okay, so like the so that's so odd. That's so fucking weird. Like, why does a school district have its own police force? This is so odd. I don't get this. It's like the rent-a-cop, semi-rent-a-cop university polices. I don't understand that either. Like, none of this is necessary. Am I wrong? Like,
Yeah,
what's
it's
the fucking point of any of this other than just obfuscation for responsibility?
We're spending money so we don't lose it the next fiscal year.
God damn it, dude. If there were
I
one
didn't.
thing I could do away with.
I, I wasn't trying to get your blood pressure back
I
up,
know,
but
I
I
know, but like,
mean,
holy shit, you just identified like such a simple, tiny thing that is such a driver for all of the things we see. That one simple behavioral loop is it. The amount of damage that it causes is incalculable. It keeps me up at night thinking about it sometimes. Like the lives that have been lost and the money that has been spent because of that specific behavior pattern. The if you don't use your whole budget by the end of the year on doesn't fucking matter, just use it, then you lose it. It's who books could be written. Anyhow.
I mean, the first thing that the fraud, waste, and abuse people should have done away with was that idea.
Oh no, not a joke. But now, I
But
mean,
they
you
they
know that
they are
fraud,
the
waste, and
arbiters of
yeah, I was gonna
such an
say,
idea.
I was gonna say,
They exist because of that.
well, and not only that, but like, uh, teaser for maybe an eventual sometime stream. But Watcher happens to know that the chief purpose of the government fraud, waste, and abuse line is actually to cover up for fraud, waste, and abuse, and to attack those who are trying to report it. That is literally the genuinely the sole purpose of that entire whistleblower internal process is to keep a lid on it and to punish those who are doing it so that you get fewer of them. It's talk about systemic, folks. We're in trouble. All right, guys. That's about it for me. We're wrapping up into 2 hours. Thank you so much for being here, Displaced Population. It's incredibly late for you, and I really appreciate it. How many bourbons deep are you, out of curiosity?
I stopped about an hour and a half ago. Just so
I was
some of
I was
the
throwing out too many $3 or $4 words. I get it.
yeah, some of the meds that I have to take to help me sleep don't play well with alcohol, so I know when to
Oh,
cut it off. But
I know how
I
that
certainly
is.
appreciate you having me on. We kind of threw this together ad hoc.
Yeah, man.
And it's you know, I don't take for granted the fact that you and I haven't really interacted a whole lot other than liking memes back and forth. And you put out a call for some folks that wanted to be on, and I said yes, and you brought me on, and we went with it.
Brother, I
That's not a
appreciate the hell
small
out of you.
thing, and I appreciate it.
By the way, next time, if you do get lured into one of these chats again, just know that if you decide you're tired and want to peace out, you're free at any point. Just say, I'm out. Peace out, dude.
I appreciate it, but yeah, regular. I have a 4 month old, so regular sleep
Oh,
patterns
yeah.
really aren't happening for me right now.
Gone
So
out
I'm
the
good.
window. So I got
Yeah.
we do have just a tad bit here, and I'll give you just a little bit of the watcher familial side. The youngest just turned 1, and we co-sleep in this family, but
Mm,
this one is damn near impossible to co-sleep with. She does this, like, first of all, she moves way more than the others, but she very specifically does this thing where she puts her head on Mrs. Watcher and her feet onto me, and then just kind of ratchet kicks me off the bed. um,
listen, Stephen Hawking, God rest his soul, if he could do a lecture series on how children take up a certain volume of space when they're awake and an exponentially larger volume of space when they're asleep, he could do a whole lecture series on it, man. I know
it's true.
exactly what you're talking about.
It's true. So yeah, I have been I have been kipping on an office cot for the last couple of weeks just because it's gotten that bad. Anyways, all right, folks. Thank you so much. There's 3 of you still here. You are the absolute best. Hit me up. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Hit me up for potentially the very first round of holographic Watcher stickers. I just figured out how to print these. They're pretty tits. Hit me up on Twitter if you watched the show tonight. And I will put you in for the drawing to receive a free set of those. Displaced, you're just going to get one. All right,
Word,
everybody.
bro.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.